Hey, yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs. As always, I am joined by the AIW owner, John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
I'm here, ready to do some podcasting.
Yeah. How was your holiday yesterday?
Just the basic, family gathering, nothing too out of the ordinary, too crazy. Went to my grandma's house and hung out there all day. Had the sports games on, in the background.
Doing any sports betting? I know that was real hot when we first got legalized sports betting. Everybody was jumping on that. Any parlays hitting yesterday or anything like that?
No, but I did a couple last week. I was really bored and I opened up FanDuel and I tried to guess I don't know nothing about college basketball at all. And I was just like, I'm just going to guess all 14 games in one bet and see what. So I just picked randomly and I bet $10 and I won $1,300. So
nice.
That was a good week last week.
Hell yeah. Wouldn't it be great if it was always that easy?
I was just literally just bored and I was just like, I'll pick this one, knew nothing about anything.
Yeah.
But didn't do any betting on the holy day of Jesus yesterday.
He died for our sins. You got to do a little bit of sinning for make it worth it, right?
I ate some mashed potatoes.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you probably didn't. What did you even have yesterday? Because you don't get too crazy with the foods. They do. Do you do turkey or ham or anything? What do you do as far as that main course goes? What do you go?
I had some rigatoni.
Rigatoni, okay.
And mashed potatoes.
No turkey or ham, huh?
No.
Not even. So you don't do turkey on Thanksgiving then either, huh? Even dry, no gravy, nothing, just straight turkey or ham?
No.
Oh man. Rigatoni, mashed potatoes it is, huh?
Yeah, what a combo.
That's a classic Italian Catholic though. We used to have rigatoni with every holiday no matter what. Oh
yeah, same.
And that's what's funny about I don't know if it's just because I'm not a religious person really. I grew up Catholic or whatever. My mom's mom was Catholic and my dad's family was Catholic. So we did a lot of that stuff when I was younger, and going to family parties and all that stuff for holidays and very, not very religious, but now, grandparents are
that stuff just fades away. I think.
Yeah, because I'm not very religious at all. I'm not making my kids go to a mass or anything like that. So it's just kind of we get together, but it is weird because it seems
more about the bunny. It's more about the bunny these days.
It's about the bunny, but there's also less and less people too. Back in the day when I was younger, it was so aunts and uncles and kids and this and that, and now it's it's hard to get everyone together. I don't know.
Yeah, now it's just pretty much just immediate family. No, it's the same thing. It used to be gigantic extended family gatherings when I was a kid, and then everything just fades away. So it's just a small little intimate gathering at grandma's house yesterday.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Okay. Well, we did a little.
I caught you off guard there. It seemed you were at a loss for words there for a second.
I just didn't know how to. I don't know how to transition out of the Easter. To go from there.
Man, you brought it up.
Oh, I know. Yeah, definitely.
Broadcast journalist.
Well, because usually we do try to get this done on a Sunday too. We try to record on a Sunday, but yesterday with the holiday and stuff, I'm I got a little busy. I got the family thing, and you kind of said the same. So I was let's take care of it tomorrow.
I was all wrapped up. It's just a 3 p.m. dinner. You know what I mean? Just right dead in the center of the day. So you got to get there a little earlier. You got to stay there a little later. You know what I mean? So it's just 3 p.m. dinner is really a 4:30, actual eat time, and then you're just you get sucked into the vortex of the family gathering. Even when it's small, you don't want to be the first one to leave.
Yeah. Who's gonna break the ice and be all right, I'm gonna get out of here? You know what I mean?
I live really close, so it's just
you're not beating the traffic or nothing. You ain't gotta go far.
Yeah, I didn't really have a good excuse, so I was just wait, Dad, why don't you get up and, why don't you set the precedent right now?
It's funny too about the holiday dinners. Like you said, it's always like a 4:30, whatever. By the time like my normal dinner comes around, I don't eat normally till like 6:30, 7 o'clock sometimes. So like we're eating all early. By the time I get home from the holiday dinner, I'm like at 8 o'clock. I'm like hungry again. I'm like, damn, like
I know.
You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to eat real late before I go to bed. That was like been a big thing with me lately. I'm trying not to eat like right before I lay down. But like yesterday, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm like, I'm getting hungry again, like famished over here.
I know we gotta get those diets in check for the summer tour, dude. Tank top season is right around the corner.
For real, dude. I know. I gotta start training and getting my weight ready for the summer excursion.
It seems like the summer is going to be a little lighter. I don't know. I haven't heard from like a lot of our stops from the last couple of years. So I don't know. Maybe we're fired.
Yeah, it was usually by this almost, March, April portion of the year, you were adding a few dates into our calendar that we had, like, hey, hold this date and hold this date. We haven't really had, too many add-ins.
Nothing extra, so I don't know. Maybe it'll be a little lighter. Maybe, who knows, I put out a thing yesterday, just like looking for, fairs and festival gigs, see if we get any bites on that, because, that's just, that's such like we have such a formula for those types of shows, what I mean? It's like so low pressure.
Yeah.
In fact, like I might have to miss North Canton because I just got a wedding invitation in the mail.
Oh, no.
It's the same day as North Canton, and I'm like, oh, man.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how I'm gonna pull it all off, and it's like one that I just can't probably miss, So it's just like, yeah.
I haven't had any conflictions yet this year. I'm going to Florida for me and my wife's 10-year anniversary, but that doesn't coincide with any AI dates, as of right now. Hopefully, we don't get anything added in there that would, coincide with those dates. But
what's the dates on the trip?
The end of June, the weekend before 4th of July.
Yeah, I think we should probably be all clear on that.
That's kind of what I figured. I was like, this is like the weekend after is 4th of July. It's like a tough weekend to kind of run. I don't really know. We didn't have anything on the schedule too, so. But the funny thing is, I may actually be adding a date or two here to my schedule, just based on the Black Label schedule, because I went out this weekend this past Friday. With the AIW video production crew. If anybody doesn't know, the AIW does the production for Black Label Pro, and now they're doing Alpha One, Ethan Page's company. But they had needed an extra body, a person out there, and I've done it before. I did Black Label Pro, but I got a wife and kids and stuff. AIW kind of keeps my plate pretty full. So I don't do too much other stuff, but they needed an extra hand, and I was like, you know what? That's right by Jack in the Box. I'm going to go. So I went, and it was a ton of fun, man. I had a lot of fun doing video stuff. I really like filming a lot. That was a good time. So I may try and squeeze, another one of those in here or there. So
yeah, that was one that I was thinking about going to, too, because it was at that big convention, and,
yeah.
Those are always kind of fun to just walk around and people watch at and, see different guys and, girls and, just big stars are always at those giant conventions. So
everywhere, yeah.
I thought about going, and then, I was just like, I don't know. Chase is probably going to want to get there like right before showtime and not participate in a lot of that convention wandering around. I would have got there at like noon if I was going.
Yeah, well, it was tough because, it's a Friday, and it's 5 hours away, so, we had to take off from Friday or go half day or whatever, and then by the time you get out there, and all this and that, we had everything packed up and all this. But it was cool. Yeah, I did it. Last time we went, coincidentally, I ended up having Mick Foley like walk right past me. They were like moving Mick to somewhere, and I got to be like, "Hey, Mick, how you doing? Have a nice day." So, see you later. But this time I'm going through, and who comes walking straight towards me? Shark Boy. I go, Shark Boy, shell yeah, and I gave him, the hammer, whatever, the shark head thing, and he goes, "Hey, brother," and gave me the fist bump, and we just, like two ships passing. It was great though, man. I love Shark Boy.
Yeah, did he have a heater hanging out of that mask?
We were inside, but he wasn't carrying anything, so he might. And the convention was still going, so he might have been just going outside to rip a heater. But he was, he was masked up and everything, and he was passing by, and I'm like, "Oh, Shark Boy, what's up, brother?" He goes, "Hey, man, how's it going?"
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh, Shark Boy rules.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, there was people everywhere though. That convention is a wild time, man. They got a lot going on in there. It is huge, from what I saw, 2 huge rooms of like vendors and stuff like that, and meet and greets going on everywhere. There was people recording podcasts and stuff. It was wild. Yeah,
they had like panels and stuff too. I saw they had like a whole bunch of additional events on top of Black Label. They had all kinds of stuff going on. So it seemed like a pretty hectic gathering.
Yeah, it was it was a good show though. The card was a strong card. It was quick, had no intermission. I think we had 7 matches, got in and out of there. But it was a great time. Got to do Cardona and Nick Nemeth. That was cool.
Hell yeah. Were you doing a camera?
Yeah, me and Caleb did floor cam, and then Chase, produced from the desk, and we just left hard cam, just stable cam, and then, Dustin was on commentary.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it was a fun trip. I was laughing about it because we had talked about you did go, one of the previous times, right when Chase got hurt, so you went out there and kind of manned the ship. And we were laughing because I was like saying, this would be a much different trip if Thorne was here. You know what I mean? It just would be maybe some, a couple sodas after the show or something. It just would be a much different trip if you were there. I was laughing.
Oh yeah. Chase is all business. I would have, been getting a room and getting some cocktails and then walking around and trying to befriend Sting or something.
Well, that was my next point. So we're doing all this stuff. The show, I'm filming, so I wasn't looking at my phone. But at some point in the night, in the one group chat you put in there, listen. Well, this is what I need. Somebody go find Swoggle and make him take you to Sting to get a picture. And then even put at the bottom, tell him I said that. So we finish up the show, and Chase is like, "Oh, you got to go find Swoggle to take a picture with Sting." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, you got to look in the group chat. Thorne wants you to go find Swoggle and Sting." I'm like, okay. So I go wandering off, and there is, like you said, there's people everywhere. They had the wrestling show had just finished, so there's wrestlers all over the place. There's meet and greets happening all over. There's the convention going on, so there's people everywhere. So I go wandering out there, and who do I see? Manser. I'm like, "Hey, but I go seeing Swoggle around." He goes, "No, brother, I haven't seen him." He goes, "But listen, do me a favor." He goes, "Can you stay right here and watch my bag for 1 second?" He's like, "My cousin's here, and I gotta go talk to him for 1 second." He's like, "Stay right here." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like stand there for like 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, at this point I gotta, I gotta go back and like help, clean up all the shit. I go, I can't find Swoggle anywhere. I go, I don't know where the hell he was staying there all weekend, so he probably either, went up to his hotel room because he had his kid there, or he was maybe had a table there that he went back to, trying to sell merch or whatever. So I'm like,
You saw what he posted, though. He posted a picture with Sting.
Yeah, he did. He eventually got a picture, him, Myers, his kid, and I don't forget who was the other guy in the photo, but he did eventually get a picture with Sting, but yeah, I was unsuccessful. But luckily Manser came back. I gotta go, help clean up shit. So I couldn't fulfill your request of getting a picture with Sting and Swoggle. I apologize.
I just wanted to annoy Swoggle because he would have blew a gasket.
Oh yeah, that's the thing too. Is like I looked for him, but I didn't look real hard because I knew he was gonna be like, "What the fuck do you want?" Like he likes me, but he's not the most patient human being. And you know what I mean. And I'm sure he was busy as hell there at the convention.
He would have knew it was me.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I had the phone ready right on the message that said, "Tell him I said that," just in case he wanted to get mad at me. I was gonna be like, "Listen, I'm just following orders from Thorne here."
Yeah, he would have definitely known it was me. Because we were at some convention years ago, maybe like a Starcast or something, and I crashed in his hotel room. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "All right, come on, let's go down to the breakfast buffet. Swoggle, you're gonna." His kid was there too. Landon was there. I was like, "Swoggle, we're gonna go down to the breakfast buffet, and you're gonna introduce us to Sting while he's getting some scrambled eggs." And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Sting's not gonna be at the breakfast buffet." I was like, "Hey man, you never know until you go down there."
That's fantastic.
So I always every time he goes to like a convention, I always text him like, "Hey, did you meet Sting?"
Prophecy fulfilled this time, yeah, because you were right. He got to meet him this time.
Yeah, he got his picture finally, but
that's great.
I mean, it looked like a good time. It's just sometimes it's hard to staff those trips, which Chase Oliver is gonna eventually, his brain is gonna melt one day.
Yes.
Over that.
When we have a departure in the group, he might melt down for sure, because that's just one less guy to hold the cameras. But if you are an AIW student and you're listening to this, I implore you to
no chance 90% of them listen to this podcast or even know it exists.
Yeah, I mean, it may be true. I don't, either way, they should, because we talk about a lot of stuff that you want to see and hear and yada yada. So it's almost like a little cheat sheet of stuff you'd like to see. If you're a student, you should probably be listening to this. But if you want to learn about the wrestling business, if you want to, entwine yourself into the AIW machine, the best way to do that is getting involved with Chase and telling him, hey, I want to help out, because the production stuff to me, it's invaluable. If I was a wrestler, doing floor cam like that, there's just so many things that it teaches you without even, it's like a Karate Kid type shit. You're doing something that's teaching you something without even really realizing, what you're learning in the lesson in it. You know what I mean? Because, you're in charge of the camera. You got to know, okay, what shot do I got to get? Where do I got to put myself? Then you do that enough. Once you get in the ring.
As like a wrestler, you have to use your wrestler brain to find out where are they going with this move? How you know what I mean?
Right.
It just teaches you to look at it from a different lens. I guess you are looking through a camera lens, but it just forces you to kind of that's why it's so good when a wrestling student is doing this job of cameraman, because it just kind of makes you think so much differently and think about their movements and ring positioning and all this stuff. And like you said, I never thought about it, but it is kind of like a Karate Kid, wax on, wax off lesson.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're learning, but you're actually learning so much more about wrestling by actually operating these cameras and listening to Chase call these shots and telling you where to position yourself and all this stuff. It's just it becomes ingrained in your subconscious, I guess, and it's just everybody should be learning to do these jobs, but I can't force people to want to learn more. You know what I mean?
Right.
They pay, and some people want to come and do their 2-hour training session and cannot wait to leave. Some people stay and watch the next session. Some people, it all costs the same. Some people do both sessions. Some people go above and beyond. Some people want to do the bare minimum. You can't force people to do work. It's we have a service and a schedule, and you can participate as much or as little as you want. There are people that, one guy paid 100% up front and never came back.
Wow.
Never came back after, ever. No contact. Nothing.
That's wild.
And we're just are you sure you want to do this? And he's just yeah. You can't force people to come back. It's just some people want it more than others, and some people think that they can get by doing the bare minimum, and that's just not the case. And it's unfortunate that people don't realize that they have to work 300% harder than, say somebody that is already on the roster. They just, I don't think they realize that. I think that, some people feel that they pay their money and they're entitled to a spot. And that's just not how it works. You know what I mean? But if you can learn all these different skills, it can only help you apply them to your craft later on when you're ready to go.
Yeah, because if you really think about it, it's very much the wax on, wax off like we're talking about, but it's also you're getting the opportunity to go out to another promotion and watch other wrestlers. I got to see Cardona and Nick Nemeth have a match. If you're a wrestler, if I was a wrestling student, you could sit there and, obviously you can watch it on a stream too, but I mean, being there live and watching that and taking that all in, see how they do it,
You have literally better than a front row seat.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, it just seems like a no-brainer. I mean, it's a ton of fun. If the four of us get in a car, you drive 5 hours. I don't think we turned the radio on for a single minute. We just bullshitted the whole way. We recorded a podcast that we may end up putting out on the Patreon at some point or whatever. Us four did a podcast, just kind of talking about production and that type of stuff, and just kind of laying out, what we do on trips like this and how it goes, and almost more kind of, it is kind of what we recorded. That was kind of like, it is kind of like a blueprint for students, and we kind of mentioned that, like, I mean, these trips really, to me it just seems like a no-brainer, because yeah, you can go to the wrestling school, you can go to seminars, you can do all this stuff, but this is just another layer on top of it that, if you want it bad enough, you could be taking advantage of these opportunities. And like, I just think AIW just puts so many great opportunities in front of these students. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I mean,
it's crazy that they're not taking advantage of more. Because,
yeah, I agree.
If you can't figure out how to take a 5-hour trip one weekend, like, how are you going to figure out how to be a wrestler? Because AIW is such a small, like, it's just such a small part of an overall body of work for one's career, So it's just like, if you're only relying on the AIW platform, and, I get that it's probably one of the larger platforms that a lot of these guys are on, or get a chance to be on. And,
yeah,
there are people from other, areas that want to be in AIW. And, like, I get, like, we're not the top, but we're certainly not the bottom,
No,
but,
God, no.
Like, you still have to get in a car and continue to work when there's not an AIW show, like someone like Josh Bishop, this guy's fucking shoulder is destroyed right now. He's still wrestling 3 to 4 days a week, like he was in Florida this weekend. He'll drive to West Virginia, like, there's a GCW show, like 2 months ago where a bunch of people flights didn't take off. He got booked at like 1 p.m. and drove to Chicago in a blizzard, like, it probably took him seven hours or something to get to Chicago.
Jeez.
Like, that's just, you have to be prepared to do that. And a good way to get started is like hopping in these small, like car road trips to do production, at Black Label or Alpha One. Or, sometimes we pick up these other gigs, or we do some ring rentals here and there. But, like, you have to condition yourself to be ready to travel, because that is just, like, such a part of wrestling. Like, if you can't do that, if you think that you can just come to AIW that's, 15 minutes from your house and wrestle at AIW and then not wrestle again till the next AIW, like, there's only so much that I can do for you, Like, there's only so much that I can do to make people care, because you have to continue to cultivate your own fan base in all these little areas that you go to. And, like, it's all about the, putting a grand total of people to get behind you, at all in all these different areas. AIW might be your largest chunk because, this is where you're from, but you get a couple fans in West Virginia or Chicago or Pittsburgh, or somewhere in Indiana, and now you have more people talking about you. You have more people buying your merchandise. You have more people, wanting to come see you. It adds value to you, but you have to you have to travel to do that. You have to go out and get it. It's not going to come and get you.
Right. And I mean, like, these trips are a perfect example of getting in that kind of world and getting used to that, because you just get to get in the car with Chase. He'll take care of the gas. He knows where he's going, that type of stuff. But it's a good way to ease into doing what you're talking about, where getting out on the road and that type of stuff. If you do these couple trips, do these AIW production trips, you're not just throwing yourself out there and no idea what the hell you're doing. You've been on a few trips with people, hey, we got to get, gas and trans, or even the fact of, like, going out, you meet other promoters, you could go to, we do Black Label Pro, you can meet Mikey, those guys, they do Alpha One, I can't imagine that Ethan Page, he's probably one of the best people you can meet in this business, you know what I mean? Just meeting people like that is only going to be good for you, you know what I mean? Like, There's no downside to it.
That's like a whole other layer is the networking opportunities thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's a lot of crossover with people that come into AIW and then, they see you in Chicago or Indiana, you know what I mean? Like you said, Manser saw you in a crowd at the convention and, was like, hey, watch my bag for me. You just don't know where you're like all these roads are going to intersect, but you can go create new friendships and relationships and networking opportunities when you go on these trips. Like, it's just, listen, like I am obviously AIW's #1 fan. I think it's the best thing, bar none. Right? Like that's my opinion.
Same.
I know it's not a fact. And like a fact is you have to go out and you have to network and build more relationships outside of AIW, so you can, you have somewhere to work. The other 3 weekends of the month. Or guys are going down in West Virginia. They're wrestling on like, Sunday afternoons, like it's just about, getting those reps in. And the way you get those reps in is you go on these trips and you make these relationships. And like so many guys, went down to, ACW in West Virginia with Josh Bishop. And then, all of a sudden now they're bringing 2 carloads of AIW students down there, multiple times a month, and it's just like, it all started with, someone riding down there with Josh and then, filling a spot, and then they did good. And then he said, hey, do you got any more guys? And then Josh said, well, what about this guy, and this guy? And then, that has just spiraled, so like, you just never know how you're going to get work. But a lot of these students, I think, like, they just want to be AIW wrestlers, and that is not enough. Like I would love that it was enough, but it's not enough, for you to want to be a major player in this business. It's not enough. It's a good piece. It's a good, it's a good kind of, launching whatever, like it's a good part of the puzzle, but you have to go out and you got to find the other puzzle pieces.
I think what you were saying too with the networking, what is crazy about it is just you just never know who you're going to see or meet out there. I'm standing there with Clemens, who walks up, freaking Mojo Raleigh, starts talking to Mojo Raleigh. Hey man, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you. What's your name? That could have been a wrestling student. You know what I mean? Like he starts telling us a story about when Gronk did the WrestleMania with him, and it's like this the networking and the people you never know who you're gonna meet and who you could impress.
And that guy has like all sorts of weird connections. Like super weird connections, like all kinds of he was helping Mikey out with sponsorships. I'm pretty sure he has like a talent agency. When we first booked Zaya Brookside, we had to book her through Mojo Riley's agency. Like
she was on the show too.
Yeah, you just never know. Like you could have. Maybe somebody could have became friends with Mojo Rawley and they're going to the Super Bowl with him. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Right. It's just like, and Clemens is always at these things. He's another guy who's just super invaluable to be around. He knows everybody, you know what I mean? And you just stand around Clemens, whether you're a wrestler or a referee or whatever you're doing for AIW, whether it could be just production, he knows a lot about a lot, and just being around that guy is valuable to learn stuff from. He's a great guy. He'll help you. He'll teach anybody anything they want to learn. You just got to ask him. These stuff like this, it's just, I don't know. I had a blast, and it's like, if I had as much fun as I did and like learn about, this type of stuff, I could only imagine how valuable that could have been or could be to trainees,
Well, that's the thing too. It's also like, it's work, but is it really work? You know what I mean? No. Like it's fun, you're around wrestling for free, like you can walk around down an aisle and see the Hardy Boys or Sting, or you know what I mean? Like I'm sure you guys, were able to just walk around wherever, like it. So it's just like, I don't know, experiences like that are, just invaluable, I think, for young wrestling students. I'm not trying to get on my soapbox, but
no, but I think it's worth mentioning and stuff, just because if I got that much value out of it as just a jabroni, you know what I mean, who twists the knobs back there, imagine what that could do, for students.
Right. And it's just like sometimes like a trip like that, is almost, more valuable than, going to a booking that is low level, because it's just like, you got to weigh the pros and cons of, the value of each, right? Like, maybe you'll get ring time, but no exposure, for doing a booking at X promotion,
Yeah.
But maybe you won't get a match, but you'll make, 15 new networking opportunities at a convention, gig. There's just like, there's pros and cons to both. I don't necessarily know which one is right and which one is wrong. That's kind of up to everybody as an individual, but I do think that, there is so much opportunity on the table for these, for these production gigs, because I mean, like, the whole point is like, we're doing it for pretty much expenses. So like the students get experience, get these opportunities. And that's what I kind of said to them all. I said, if you guys don't want these opportunities, I could just tell them to hire somebody else, like it would take the pressure off of me, and Chase especially, because Chase is just, like Chase is worrying about staffing a crew in July right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he is just like, his brain works way differently than mine, so like, he's just always just like such a meticulous planner. But it's just like, something's got to give, because that guy's going to drive himself nuts if people don't understand the potential of these opportunities right now.
Yeah, I mean, he just has so much on his plate, and if the students, like I said, if you are listening to this and you hear it, step up, because, you take some stress off that guy's plate, because, I mean, shit, on the way down there, he was doing editing, he was, taking stuff off the computer, off the cards, putting them onto the computer and doing this, that. He was editing stuff. We recorded a podcast. I mean, he there was no point in the car ride that he just sat there at all. At any point of the 6-hour car ride that we took, he was doing something essentially the entire time. Shouts out to Dustin for driving. But yeah, I mean, it was, I don't want to, keep going in circles about it, but that was a great time. I got to see Manser versus Elias. They used my shot too for the guitar shot. That was freaking great. Cardona and Nick Nemeth. There was so many great matches.
Yeah. I mean, they're just, and like, look at like, just 4 major stars, you know what I mean? Like, on a show full of stars, but you just named just 4 right off the top of your head, and like,
yeah,
every one of those students probably could have got to meet them, talk to them, you know what I mean? Like, it just, the networking opportunities when you do these gigs is just so invaluable, I think. And I hope more people, step up and take an opportunity, because, like, spoiler alert, Caleb is leaving the territory for a while, or maybe forever. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that he is going to the House of Mouse for a while and relocating to California. So, Chase is definitely going to be looking for somebody to kind of step up, because he's been such an invaluable part of this production, this whole process of learning how to do this stuff and, figuring it out. He is in school for it. He has really, just helped all of us, through so many, work out so many kinks in this whole thing. And he's certainly been, the right-hand man of Chase during this whole process. So there's going to be a big void to fill in the, the production realm of things at AIW and all these gigs. And, if I was a student that maybe was unsure of where I'm fitting in right now, or, wanting to excel and learn as much as possible, I would be, trying to fill that role that Caleb has had for, almost 2 years at this point, and trying to, become that right hand for Chase. And, because here's the thing is, like, Caleb can set that whole production up. Like, he can set the whole thing up.
Oh yeah.
Chase can set it all up. I used to be able to set it up. I haven't done it in so long. There's no shot that I would know how to set it up. You know what I mean? Like, other people got to learn it, because Caleb is going to be gone. Who knows? You know what I mean? If something happens to Chase, he's sick one day or something, we'd be fucked. So, I mean, look at other than leather, that guy was like, I thought he was going to collapse. He was so sick.
Yeah, he was not feeling good.
he was in rough shape, like he just looked like, he had just been through the ringer, battling the flu and, forced himself to come because there was nobody else that could do it. So, I just encourage people to step up and learn this stuff because, it's an invaluable skill, not only to add to your kind of toolbox, like you said, in this Karate Kid way of learning wrestling in a different, a different way, but you never know, like it's a skill that you can bring to the table somewhere. You could be at a show just hanging around and they go, oh man, we don't have a cameraman here. You can say, hey, I have experience doing that. There's just, and then you make yourself valuable to that promoter. It's a skill that you can have, put in your Swiss Army knife of pro wrestling skills. And maybe you never need to use it. Maybe you do.
A little secret here. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you do production work with AIW and you're carrying camera bags and tripods and that stuff, you don't gotta carry guardrails and big heavy ring posts. If that's enticing at all to anyone, you can't do both. So Thorne's like, no, you can do both. Shut up. What do you know?
Yeah, don't advertise that one. Everybody will be carrying one cable.
Next thing you know, we just have this line around Chase of people that want to do camera work. That's great. We did open it up to questions. I was gonna. The question we did get was from our old pal Scott Random. He is curious about when you told the story about Kaplan talking about Microman and his mask and not knowing it was him without the mask. He said it made him laugh so hard. He wants to know if there's any other humorous Kaplan stories that we have or maybe haven't told in a while. Any positive. He's saying also after being away from Dive Bar, any positive memories from the after party that we just went to? I guess so. A 2-part question there. We did talk about when Kaplan was a bouncer. We just recently talked about that. But anything else you got on the table?
I mean, there's just Kaplan is one of the most interesting people that you could ever meet, and he's the kind of guy that you only meet through pro wrestling. He is just such a unique person. He's just like the perfect pro wrestling character. You can have somebody like Kaplan who is every bit of just he has lived a different life than the majority of people. And then you can have like a high school teacher like Josh Prohibition, you know what I mean, who has lived a completely different life than Kaplan. That's just like Kaplan, I think, is just like the perfect example of like how pro wrestling, like I truly feel there should be like a social study like of how all these different walks of life can somehow coexist in a wrestling locker room. Because to me, that's like the most unique thing about wrestling is like there's all these different, political viewpoints and, jobs and careers and, races and walks of life and genders and, everything you can imagine exists in the world of pro wrestling. And like when you're behind the curtain, everybody gets along for the most part so well. And there's so much camaraderie and there's so much friendships built. And it would never happen without that pro wrestling, kind of being that glue that has introduced these different walks of life. And Kaplan is just like a perfect example of that. There's a million Kaplan stories over the years of, Kaplan. I know we told it before, like it was a podcast, I'm pretty sure it was lost, but Kaplan bought a cow because he wanted to drink unpasteurized milk.
The beginning to that story is one of my favorites too, because we're there at the party and we can see out the window and we just see someone walking up with a case of beer, like a 24 briefcase pack of beer over their shoulder, and then like a party tray of meats in their hand, and we're like, "Ooh, this."
You bought a charcuterie board. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a million Kaplan stories. Allegedly, stole a little girl's bicycle when he was drunk walking home from a bar. So he didn't have to, it didn't take him as long to get home. He's been to jail quite a few times. I think he made a t-shirt of one of his mug shots.
Yeah. He's changed though. He will tell you he doesn't do that type of. He's not a bad boy anymore because anytime we ever brought up the Joe, he's like, that's my past. I don't do that stuff anymore.
Honestly, like no bullshit. Like he did tell me at one point that he does feel that pro wrestling really saved his life because he was really on a path to nowhere.
Yeah, he's mentioned that before. Yeah,
but yeah, he's he's got some crazy stories about being in county jail and fighting people over, cup of noodles and stuff. And like, he's just, just a complete wild card. I mean, he can't see out of one eye. He got like an eye transplant that didn't take. So he says he's got a dead man's eye in his head.
God.
There's just, there are a million Kaplan stories that I can't even really think of off the top of my head because there's just so many. There's just stuff swirling around, but he's just a one of a kind character.
I loved he's doing the jerky and stuff, now obviously. And so I looked at his, I think it was an Instagram or I forget where he put the picture, but there's just like a grocery, like the conveyor belt, for the grocery store. And there's just like literally like 15 or 20 like beef roasts, like, just stacked because he must have been buying his meats, to do a big run for jerky. But there's just like a stack of these things on there. And I could just see Kaplan standing there in front of it like, I don't know. I love that picture of him. Like, it was just so great.
Well, he is, because I don't know if Joey Janela even got clearance for this or remembers it, but at Dive Bar, he was just like, oh, yeah, Kaplan, we'll give you a table at the Collective all weekend so you can sell your jerky. Make a bunch of it. And so Kaplan's like, oh, okay. So, like, he's making jerky for WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you heard it here, folks. If you're going to Philadelphia for Mania weekend, seek out Ryan Kaplan and get some of that jerky. Help our guy, make some cash out there and from WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, there's just like Kaplan is probably one of the all-time most popular guys in the locker room for sure, because he's just such an out there character. When we. Like he used to, I don't think he does it anymore. He used to shotgun Red Bulls before he wrestled. Just all kinds of stuff.
He's on the chocolate milk now. He's on chocolate milk hard. Oh man, he
just told me the other day, like he went to Europe like a couple.
Yeah, he's like a world traveler. He's if you follow him on Snapchat, he's always posting. He's been on some trips, man. Kaplan has been all over the place.
But I think now I may be having some of the facts of this wrong, but I'm pretty sure he went to go see Roger Waters of Pink Floyd while he was in London.
Yeah.
And he ended up beating a guy up at the concert.
I think the story was he stopped a fight, but then the guy like started throwing on him or whatever, so he had to beat the guy's ass and put him down. I want to say that's the story.
I don't remember. Like Comfortably Numb was playing or something.
The thing is too about Kaplan and we've said it here on the podcast is like, I think he garners so much respect and he's just such a well-respected guy in the locker room too, because he gives his all every time. We've said it before that every time Kaplan comes back through the curtain after a match, he looks like he got into a car wreck. It's because he puts it all out there. Kaplan wrestles every match, like it's going to be his last or whatever the cliche you want to say it is, but he really takes it seriously and he loves this and puts it all out there for this. So I think, I'm not a worker myself, but I think the people in the locker room see that, and you got to give it up for a guy who, it doesn't matter what show it is. It doesn't matter if it's a Thursday. It doesn't matter if we're at the Shrine or the Temple or wherever we are, or they're in ACW or where he's done IWC or he's been in the Chains. No matter where he is, he's given his all, and he's really going out there and giving you a show. And I think the other performers take note of that, and that's, a very well respected, thing with Kaplan.
He's also just like not a dick to anybody. He's
right.
He's a really genuine, nice guy backstage, and I think people like that. And he also has like such a dry sense of humor that he'll tell a joke and then like somebody will like it'll take somebody like 30 seconds for it to like click, and then it's like the funniest thing they ever heard. You know, it's just like but like Kaplan was in that first AIW Academy class. So I mean, I've known Kaplan for probably almost 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
And, you know, never a dull moment. You know, he disappeared for years because he took a job fixing the roads of America, traveling to the United States, working on the roads.
I can only imagine some of the stories he has from that he's like never told us. You know what I mean? Like the untold stories, like just that he just hasn't gotten to or whatever, just forgets or whatever. Because I'm sure there's some wild ones too.
Oh yeah, he's got like crazy fight stories, like just, you know, crazy police stories. You know, just he's lived a wild life. But you know, it's just like it's funny. Like last summer, Josh Prohibition had like this big, you know, kind of cookout gathering. You know. And like he's got like his like real life friends there, and like Kaplan's back there talking about, you know, fighting over chips in county jail. You know, like Josh is like, well, you know, this is the wrestling part of my life.
Yeah. And that was another photo. You remember the photo of Paul London, Kaplan, Chavo Guerrero talking about you know, potato chips. Like that's like a perfect example. Like Kaplan, you know, he talks to these guys.
Kaplan he somehow got a connection to get the chips that are only sold in the prison commissary shops.
Yeah, you can only get whole shebang if you're incarcerated. That's not like a chip you can buy.
And he somehow found some sort of like black market deal because he says they're the best chips he ever had in his life. And he made some kind of deal where he got these prison chips, and he was walking around at the jail after party with them, telling all the boys, like, you know, this is the kind of stuff you get in prison. And he had like a whole like 20-minute conversation with Chavo and Paul London about how he ate these chips in jail and how he's been looking for them, but he didn't want to go back to jail in order to eat them.
Yeah.
So he's been on this search for these chips, and it was one of the funniest things that I've ever kind of watched from the background I've ever seen in my life.
It's just so great because like these are the conversations I find myself in at AIW, and like that to me, I've said it before, like on Twitter, like that type of shit to me is AIW. Like that's what I love about this company and this promotion. That's like why I'll do whatever for AIW. You ask me to do a job, I'll do it, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna find yourself in some goofy situation listening to, you know, somebody tell some incredible story that you never thought you would have heard. You know what I mean? Kaplan telling Demolition about beef jerky, you know, Kaplan telling, you know, Chavo Guerrero and Paul London about whole shebang chips you can only get while you're incarcerated. It's just like it's just AIW is just it's just a wild place where anything can happen as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, he always goes to Legends with his jerky too. You know, it's like such an icebreaker for him, and he'd be like, oh man, fucking Dr. D. David Schultz like the jerky. You know, like he just he's always going and offering it up. But yeah, Kaplan he's one of the all-time greats. We'll have to get him back, you know, for an in-person special podcast or something, because he's just got so many funny stories. You know, like just one of the best ever. And the second part of the question, dive bar, I had fun at dive bar. It was cool because it was really just us, you know, like was not super packed. You know, it was pretty much just AIW people. You know, Scott Random was just like running fucking bottles like a madman.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did the crazy like sparkler? Because we posted that video. You posted the video that showed it a little bit. We were all just standing around the table, and all of a sudden they came up with that crazy like light box that said AIW, and they had like sparklers going and shit. I was like, what is happening right now? How did that even come?
Scott Random. I don't know. He was buying he was popping bottles in the club. Him and Tom Lawler. But yeah, I mean, I thought dive bar was fun. I think it's always fun. You know, it's always just we make our own little, you know, area in there, and there was really not a lot of people in there at all to begin with. So it was just like nice. There was like a lot of room in there. So you know, I was pretty happy with our return to dive bar.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't crazy crowded as far as whatever, you know, just for the West 6 crowd. But they are a bigger, like, they're a bigger, more popular bar, so they staff it like crazy. So even though it wasn't really packed, they still had it staffed in case it was going to be like packed for like West 6. So there was like, you didn't have to wait for a drink at all. Like there was people taking care of you immediately. Yeah, it was great. So that type, I think some people maybe think, oh, we're going to go to this club and it's going to be harder to get a drink, if there's so many people, but they're very well prepared. And like you said, when it's just us AIW people and we take it over, it's just AIW everywhere. It's just people all over the place, and it was a good time.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was. I'm not mad at Dive Bar. They have Happy Dads. They got my drink, so I'm not mad at that at all.
Anyway. Jello shots going. Did you have any Jello shots?
I'm not a Jello guy. For whatever reason, the consistency of Jello like weirds me out. I don't know. I've just never been.
I can do Jello. I can do Jello shots.
Interesting.
I did a couple.
You don't eat anything and you eat Jello. That is surprising to me.
Well, I drink Jello shots. I don't think I would eat Jello as a choice.
Sure, but yeah, that's still.
I'll drink a Jello shot, but I wouldn't get some, JELLO.
It's got to have the Tito's in it for it to be good for you.
Yeah, I think I did a couple of those with Mrs. Stone, and Steve Guy had a couple rounds of Jello shots passing out. But yeah, Dive Bar was a good time. Affordable, not crazily priced.
No, not
drinks, at all. Scott Random was popping bottles in there, so it was just like he was just pouring Tito's into people's cups.
He's crazy. I was like I'm gonna go get a drink. He's like, no, come on, have a drink. Come on. He's like forcing me. I love that guy. He's great. He's like, come on, there's a bun. Come on, have a drink with me. Come on. I was like, all right, if you insist, brother. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. Jersey Mike was in there passing drinks out. It was a good time, the intimate group, but just super, super good time, and it's just I have no complaints really, to be honest.
To me, it's another scenario where if you were a student going to the AIW Academy, it doesn't hurt to show up to these things. No one is going to be mad at you if you don't drink alcohol, because I kind of talked to Chase about this a little bit, because he's, he doesn't drink. He's tired. He has a bit of an excuse. He's got an hour and a half ride back home. You know what I mean? So it's one thing to go to a bar till 2:00 and then another hour and a half, whatever, yada, yada. But if you're a student who lives in this area, man, you're putting yourself in a position with all the other workers where you can just kind of build these relationships. Bullshit with people, talk to them. You would be surprised how well it helps you to get to know these people on just a regular friendship basis. You know what I mean? Like, you talk to some of these guys a handful of times, you know what I mean? Then it's, if you ever get into a scramble with some of them or you get a match with somebody, it's not the first time you're ever speaking to them. You build a little bit of a rapport with some of these people, and you'd be surprised how far that really goes. You know what I mean?
It's not like people are like, oh, what are you not drinking? You know what I mean?
No.
Like, it's just, no one's looking at that, and no one's getting crazily hammered anyway. It's just like,
right.
It's just kind of like an unwind. There's people that drink more than others. There's people that have a drink. There's people that don't drink at all. There's plenty of people that come to the after party that don't even drink at all. So, it's just like, it's really just, to go back full circle. It's, it's another networking opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Build those friendships, and all that stuff. And I have to say it, but forgive me. I totally forgot his name because it was loud in there, but a fan came up to me and said, he's been following AIW for years, listened to the podcast, could never come because his wife thought it was dumb or something, and he got divorced. And he came, and he was just like, I just want to tell you, man, I've been looking forward to this. Me and my wife were not, my wife was not about it, and we got divorced, and this is the first thing I did was come to AIW show live.
Hell,
he's like, now I'm at the after party, and I just wanted to thank you. This is so much fun. And I'm like, welcome to the team, brother. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
His name is escaping me right now. I do apologize for that, but I was just like, that's a pretty cool story. It's not cool that he got divorced, but it's cool that he was like, yeah, fuck it, you know what I mean? This is what I wanted to do. I've been wanting to come to AIW, and I finally came to AIW, and it was so much fun. And he was just there solo. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he did get divorced, so that makes sense. But you know, he's just like he like pulled me aside in dive bar, and he was just like, I just want to tell you, you know, I've been looking forward to this, and I finally got to come live. He's like, I watched the streams, you know, I'd listen to the podcast. I was never able to come to a live show, and he's like, I came to a live show, and you know, now I'm here at the after party, and he's like, I just wanted to thank you. He's like, it's, you know, it's so much fun. This is a blast. And I was just like, that kind of stuff is pretty cool. You know what I mean? When, you know, you're able to hear stories like that, you know, it's just stuff like that is great, you know, because it's just like, it kind of reinforces like, yeah, you know, like this does matter to some people, because it is very easy for me to convince myself that AIW does not matter to anybody. You know what I mean? And like,
Sure.
So like, what am I doing this for? So, you know, that was that was a cool kind of story. You know, obviously
that's awesome.
We were riding a high, you know, with the huge crowd and all that stuff, breaking 700, all that. But you know, it's just like, that's how it is Friday, and on Saturday, you know, it all cancels out kind of, you know what I mean? So, it was cool to hear that story, because I could you know, and you know this, cause you're in some of these group chats now. Like,
yeah.
I can find a reason like why anything was not a success. You know what I mean? It could be the most successful night in AIW history, and I can find 10 things that we did wrong, at least. Like, I am far more critical than, you know, probably AIW's worst critics. So, you know, it's very easy for me to kind of not get lost in the sauce of like this super successful night. But, you know, when this guy's pulling me aside and telling me like, man, this is awesome. This is what I've been looking forward to. That kind of makes me like go, okay, you know what? Like, maybe it matters a little bit more to people than I think sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. You will have to try to, if you're hearing this, to come find me or Thorne. I'll buy that guy a drink at the next after party. That rules. That's like a great story. You have to point him out if you see him next time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can like see him in my head. I just can't. And like, I know his name. Like, I've seen him. I've seen him on social media, but I'm just like so. Like, I cannot connect the dots right now as we're recording this podcast.
I'm so bad with names. I always forget people. I remember people's faces a lot of times. Like, if we've met, I know we've met. I've seen your face. We've talked or whatever. But I'm so bad with names that I don't know. I just have a terrible memory with names.
Yeah, I'm not great with names either. But like, I would know his face. Like, I know I've seen his face on social media as well. You know what I mean? But I just can't put it together right now when we're recording. But I mean, I just thought that was a super cool story, you know what I mean? And kind of gave me a little bit of okay, like, enjoy this for a couple more hours before you start, you know, like,
picking it apart.
Yeah. Picking, because like, that's just what I do. I'm just wired that way, you know, like, I never want to take the W, you know, like, I always want to think about how we can improve or what we did wrong. And, you know, we addressed it last week. There was a lot that went wrong, but we had to do it that way for, you know, a variety of reasons, including Janela's travel issues and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, like, it was nice for somebody to, you know, pull me aside and tell me, you know, how meaningful it was for them to be there, you know? And so I'm just like, you know what, like, maybe I should, you know, start to understand that maybe it's a little bit more important than I think it is sometimes, because I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm pretty hard on, you know, a lot of the guys, as you know, when there's mistakes. And you know, it's just like, when you hear a story like that, it's just like, you know, it's just like, oh man, like, you know, how can I even get mad about anything right now, you know?
Yeah. Well, we do have some shows coming up. Next week, we will be back in Lakewood at the Mercury Lounge. We have our show, Big Trouble at Mercury Music Lounge, the Thursday, April 11th. And then April 20th, we'll be back in Akron at the Tadmor Shrine for When the Smoke Clears. And then we'll be back in Cleveland for a huge show for our Gauntlet for the Gold show, May 24th for Gauntlet for the Gold 17 with Kurt Angle. So, I mean, plenty of times to come out and see us. Come check us out. If you've been on the fence, like, somebody or your ex-wife wasn't letting you come, or your current wife, tell her you're going to see a movie and come on out to AIW. Our Thursday shows are great. All tickets $20. I think those Thursday shows have been a hell of a time. And then we'll be back in Akron at the Tadmor for 420, and then we're back in Cleveland at Temple Live for Gauntlet for the Gold with Kurt Angle.
We got little Dylan coming back next week.
We can ask him about that Sting picture when he comes back.
Yeah. I'm, I really want these Thursdays to work. I think, maybe 2 more, and then we'll probably scale back for the summer, depending on how the schedule shapes up. And then, get back into it in the fall. But, there's possibility we add summer dates too for Thursdays. I just never know. I'm always kind of conscious of overdoing it, but
yeah.
I do think that we can make the Thursdays matter, and we're seeing different talent and different things on the Thursdays, and I think it can be a cool building block for AIW going forward. For the Tadmor Shrine, it is a big test because with the Stan Hansen thing falling apart.
Yeah.
And, we still did well, for whatever reason. I don't know, if Stan pushed the tickets or didn't push the tickets or people still came. I believe, and, I'm sure there's a fact checker out there that can prove me wrong, but I believe this is the first time we're going into the Shrine without a big meet and greet advertised of some sort.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit scary, but I want to see, you know what I mean? I want to see what we can do, if we can pull it off. Front row's already sold out. Second row is getting close already. We're, about 19 days out. Still, nowhere near like what a Tadmor Shrine, pre-sale is, but we still have several weeks to go. But it's a little scary, you know what I mean? Heading into that with, kind of flying blind to see, are the people going to come out? Have we cemented our place in the Akron area? Were people only coming out for meet and greet people? It's just like, this is really the only way to truly test it. So, we're going to test it. It's a little scary on 420, but I hope it turns out well. And then May 24th with the Kurt Angle thing, I hope that crushes that 700 number that we did last month.
That'd be great, right?
Yeah, I mean, they listed the tickets weirdly this time. The best way to find the ringside tickets is to, click on the best seats in the filter section. And then I just do one ticket, like you're searching for one ticket, and then it lists them pretty nicely when you do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because for whatever reason, all those mezzanine tickets, based on their seating chart, they all get kind of like mixed up in the tickets. So that's my suggestion to people looking for ringside tickets for May 24th. Do that filter, best seats, search for one ticket. Once you find the ticket, you know what I mean, add, however many you want. But let's get there's only one table left. I don't know on the ringside. I know I know that front row is still available as of the other day when I searched the way I just explained. So let's get those tickets popping. I want that to be the biggest show. I want it to crush what we just did at Temple. Like, I'm not even, I'm making no bones about it. Like, yeah, this is by far the most expensive meet and greet person we've ever booked. I want to fucking crush it on May 24th. That will be, the 19-year anniversary of AIW. Our first show was Memorial Day weekend in 2005. So let's kill it. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like we have such momentum coming out of these last couple shows at the Temple, being able to, survive the Stan Hansen thing, The Thursday show was packed. I feel like there's so much momentum. We're so organized. We have, tickets on sale for 3 shows right now. Let's just keep, riding this wave, and I hope that we can find, we can sustain it and kind of, level out at a really good number going forward to where, you always know that there's going to be 500 people at AIW,
Yeah.
I think that would just be tremendous, if we can level out at a really good number and just keep churning out good shows and, developing this young talent out of the school. And I do feel really positive about everything that's going on right now.
I can't wait. I think Gauntlet for the Gold speaks for itself. You got Kurt Angle, you got the Gauntlet. Those are 2 huge things. I think that kind of speaks for itself. When the smoke clears, you got the return of Hollow Wicked and Frightmare coming back to wrestling after a long hiatus. That's going to be incredible. Alec Price on the card for that one. And then they got Big Trouble, like you said. You got Swoggle coming back. We got Zaya Brookside versus Jocelyn has been announced. That's going to be a banger. Dom and Shaw announced. That's going to be a banger. All kinds of stuff. Austin James and Tyler Jordan going at it. Vic and Alex Melee. That card is already starting to shape up really, really well. So definitely come out. Check us out on Thursday, April 11th at the Mercury Music Lounge. Anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
No, and we'll get into a hard sell for that next week, but I really am, I'm pretty excited about the card for April 11th. I think it's a pretty killer card. The whole thing was announced on Patreon. But I think there's just a ton of potential. It's great, featuring these kind of the young up and coming guys coming out of the academy. I think that there's people that are with it to watch their journeys, and this is this is what it's all about.
Hell yeah. Well, hopefully we see everyone out. Like you said, we'll have a hard sell next week for the April 11th show, but we'll see everybody next week. For myself, for John Thorne, for AIW. Thanks. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks.